What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Stochastic channel. Today, we're talking some college football DFS ahead of the Week 3 Thursday slate. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. And before we get started, make sure you download the Stochastic avatar if you are playing DFS. We have a lot of them you can choose from. And if you place top 3 in any contest over 5K entries with that and tweet us at StochasticHOF or email us the screenshot if you don't have Twitter, you'll win a free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum. So take advantage of that. There's a lot of cool avatars you can use. All right, so second DFS video. I'm hoping to get these in a lot more regularly this week. A lot of stuff in my life has been cleaned up, so let's get into it. This is our data sheet, which is available on Stochastic. I hope you can see it. I think it looks okay. Leave a comment and let me know if you want it bigger or something. But basically, we have matchup data up at the top. We're starting with an FCS team, so they don't populate a lot of stuff up here, just their level of competition. But South Alabama does, so we use them as reference. They're 24th in seconds per play. They currently have a near 60% pass rate. OL, DL, OL is sacks allowed, DL is sacks generated. Then we have your Vegas data. This was not out at the time of recording, so I used S&P Plus. They currently have South Alabama as a 34-point favorite with a 60 total. A little rich in my opinion, but we'll see. And then some defensive metric stuff, yards allowed, yards per attempt allowed for running and passing. Below, we have all the metrics for these players, their prices, and what they've done in the past 4 games. We only have 2, but these will continue getting more and more voluminous as we go through the season. So this matchup, we already kind of touched on a little bit of some of the basics. What we do know is that Northwestern State's going to be a massive underdog to South Alabama, and they're a bad FCS team. So I'm not expecting a lot from this team. I don't want a lot of pieces of this team. I think their implied team total is going to come in lower once betting markets open and get bet through. But if you do want to place Northwestern State guys, they pass about 44.5% of the time. Their quarterback is JT Fiard, who's 6,200. He should be probably the stone minimum. He's negative rushing yards, and he's averaging 116 yards per game on 22 attempts. They like to run the ball. He is not very much in play. From there, they use a committee at running back. So Zay Davis is 18 carries, Kenneth Lacey 16. And then you're even going to see some Ray McNeely Harris on occasion taking a carry here and there. It's not good for any of these guys. Kenneth Lacey and Ray McNeely Harris have the best pass catching roles. Lacey has the best route participation at 33%, but I'm still not really trying to get there with Lacey at 5,100 on this slate. At receiver, Miles Kit Denton and Twan Hines are probably the 2 to look at. I guess Amaz Eugene too. Their targets range between 2.5 to 4.5 per game so far this year. And Kit Denton has by far been the most efficient, but he's 5,400. So there's not too much to say in Northwestern State. Those are the names to know. Not a whole lot of interest in any of the players. For South Alabama, Gio Lopez is sporting the questionable tag coming into this game. I think he's closer to probable. So I do think we see him. He has good mobility, 62 rushing yards this year. He's averaging 3.9 per carry. The team is passing a lot. I think that's more just the product of teams they've played so far, expecting them to be run heavy in this matchup or heavier towards the run as, 34-point favorites or thereabouts. But Lopez is involved. I would still probably rank him 3rd on this slate in terms of quarterbacks. We'll talk about the 2 better options in the second matchup. But there he is. In the run game, they're using a committee, and Braylon McReynolds is expected back for this game. He missed their last one. So that makes this a 3-headed monster between Braylon McReynolds, Kentrell Bullock, and Fluff Bothwell. I think it's going to be McReynolds leading the committee, Bothwell 2nd, Bullock 3rd, but Bullock is the 3rd down back. So if you go down here and you look at route rates, you'll see 47% for Bullock. It's the highest of the running backs, which makes this even harder to parse. What I think you can just do is play receivers. Jamal Pritchett, he has an 86% route share and a 31% target share right now, double-digit targets in both games. I would expect those numbers to come down a little bit just because matchup, they should run the ball more, but he's certainly in play. From there, I think your wide receiver 2 long-term is going to be Devin Voisin. who went from 8 to 5 targets, but I would expect him to be ahead of Shamar Sangren, and that's reflected in price. This is just long-term. He's kind of dwarfing him in yards, 137 to 72. But that's been the 3 wide receiver rotation to start the year. And I've been a little surprised Javon Ivory, who previously has played a lot for this team, is kind of in the depths. He's been, it looks like, beat out by Sangren. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here, but that is what we've seen so far. That is what we will default to so far in this matchup. Tight end is DJ Thomas-Jones. We're looking at about a 65% route rate on him. I think he's fine if you want to get there as a cheaper option at 3,500, but I would certainly prefer Sangren in this matchup. All right, our second game, and the more interesting one, in my opinion, is Arizona State, Texas State. The total is not all that different. Should be in the same ballpark. This one we do have defined data. It's a 58.5 total with a 1.5 point spread in favor of Arizona State hitting the road against Texas State. 2 good wins for them so far to open the year. They're only passing 29.8% of the time with the 114th pace. Expect that pass rate to increase, but top 2 quarterbacks I think are in this game, even price adjusted. Sam Leavitt averaging 3.8 yards per carry on 115 rush yards. Not throwing the ball a lot and not throwing the ball that efficiently, but Texas State's defense has been pretty giving in the past. And their matchup so far, they beat up on UTSA and then they played Lamar really close, but they were messing around in that game. Ultimately, I think you just like the security in this game more than the other matchups. In the run game, Cam Skatibo's coming off 33 carries and 5 targets. Yes, that's 38 opportunities for Arizona State. He's way too cheap at 6,500. Just play Cam Skatibo. Even with Raleek Brown expected to return, I think he's probably one of the first guys in your lineup. At receiver, Jordan Tyson has kind of been dominating routes and I guess targets. He's a 32.5% target share, which equates to just 13 total targets, but he's on the field a lot. Otherwise, Melquan Stovall has been playing a lot. Xavier Gulleroy is playing a fair amount. It is a rotation for Arizona State. If you look at their last game against Mississippi State when it was more competitive, Tyson went to 92%, Stovall went to 68%, and Gulleroy actually went to 92%. So maybe you could rank Gulleroy a little higher in this pecking order. But once you get beyond that, it's pretty gross. You're looking at a tight end rotation, Tremont Mateer and Marqueston Douglas. It's a slight bump towards Mateer there, 48% of the routes to 36 for Douglas. But I think you pretty clearly want to focus in on those receivers. And I think right now I would just rather get to Tyson over Gulleroy for 200 more. On FanDuel, it's a different discussion where there's a 1,500 difference in price. Texas State, we have Jordan McLeod. Again, they against Lamar, like they were just rotating quarterbacks right from the get-go, basically. So his numbers look depressed. I expect him to push over 30 attempts per game. He runs a little bit. Really good skill set on Jordan McLeod. We saw him a lot with James Madison, so not worried. Right now, Texas State, 40% pass. They're 93rd in pace. But I do think Leavitt and McLeod are the safest 2 QBs. The backfield here is more of a timeshare, I think, than we're expecting. In game 1 against Lamar, Ismail Mahdi had 28 carries to Lincoln Pare's 6. In their second game, that split moved 9 to 11. And funny enough, that was a less competitive game against UTSA. I would tentatively think we see Mahdi in the 20 touch range, 15 to 20 touches, with Pare coming in 8 to 12 is my guess. Mahdi just had an excellent season in 2023, so I don't think they just go full timeshare right away with this. And then, players like Deion Hankins, Torrance Burgess, they touched the ball combined 1 time in the first game. So I don't think these players are going to be big factors in competitive games, but we'll see on that. Very small sample on these guys so far this year. But right now, it's funny, most of my preferred plays are in this game, both at running back and at quarterback. Mahdi and Skatiba would be top 2. Receiver, definitely like me some Texas State receivers, and I want pieces of this offense. Hobart at 6,200, Cole Wilson at 5,600. And then they run a little bit of a rotation beyond that, but those are your top 2 options from a route perspective. There's nothing really to see there that's out of the ordinary. They both have had at least 86% of the routes in both games. Jaden Williams has been parked right at 56.5. Chris Dawn right at about 45. And then you have a couple other guys that get a handful of routes here and there. Jalen Griffin, Bo Sparks, not really playable, but you'll see them for a snap or 2. Tight end, a little bit of a rotation, and largely because they run 4 wide sometimes. So Connor Fox is basically parked at a 50% route share. Your safest bet to targets and snaps and routes is just going Hobart and Wilson, and then sprinkling in Don and Williams as your rotational guys. Same thing with Connor Fox, but at the tight end position, not expecting him to play quite as much. But that'll do it. I hope that kind of encapsulates everything, including the players we really like at each position, and sort of ranks them without ranking them. Only a 2-game slate. If you like what you saw, please hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment. It helps us a ton. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow with another 2-game slate. Until then, good luck, everyone. We'll see you later.